You got this, and you got that, and you gonna murder this one and murder that one. Talking all that bullshit. I'ma put it to you like this, yo.
This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me. I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What is poppin', everybody? And welcome back to another special episode of the Only Friends podcast. Well, you know, it's me and my only friends, which includes, but it's not limited to, Sir Sylvia. What's poppin', baby? How you feeling today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm chilling. It's another day in the life.
I like your right before you come on screen. You like a little head roll and get into the zone.
I gotta, shake my hair out, make sure everything's okay.
That's
nice.
Just
Gotta get in the zone.
That's real nice stuff.
Yeah, his 45 seconds of camera time. He needs to make sure that he fucking nails it.
Listen, I get as much camera time as I want.
Connie's back. How was Cleveland?
You look like a man who just went to Cleveland.
Mm-hmm. Looks cold. Was it cold?
Looks cold.
Yeah.
Looks defeated.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody do anything else this week?
Yeah, Cleveland. I get it.
Yeah, speaking of Cleveland, the Steelers play Cleveland heavy this week, a.k.a. Baltimore. It's Ravens week here in Pittsburgh, and we're being disrespected, Conrad.
Oh, yeah?
As we always are.
3.5-point dogs at home.
At home?
Yeah.
Lay the
3.5
fucking
point dogs.
wood.
Oh my gosh, here comes the parlays. Here comes the same game
you
parlay.
have no idea.
How
Here
I get
comes,
back in
Why
it?
don't you just put it all in the Steelers?
well,
Money
Because I'm
line.
not you.
no,
Well, I mean, that's
Basically.
all right.
I can
Sure,
imagine it. It's just going to be same game parlay. It's going to be Steelers interception on there. It's going to be Steelers money line for sure.
For sure,
the lock.
money line.
And then this is going to be Russ higher 200 passing yards.
Listen, I got to get back in it. I think I might go like Steelers -10. What kind of odds do you
An
think I'm getting on that?
alternate line.
Minus.
I don't know that this game has
4.
ever been decided by 2 scores in the history
I'm sorry.
of this game.
You'll
Add a
get
defensive special team touchdown on there too.
Yeah.
-10, you'll get around like plus 425, I think.
More than
I
that.
would take way over.
Higher, sorry, higher.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I would think it would be 4 figures.
All right, kids.
Really
Bro,
quick
that-
tangent. Really
I
quick
know.
tangent. Connie, Jake Paul or Mike Tyson?
I have no fucking idea. I mean, it's just so stupid. It's obviously Jake Paul, but like, I don't know.
How do they grade the bet?
They fucking cheat. That's how you do it.
It's Jake Paul because of the rules. Do you guys know the rules?
That's what I'm asking. How are they grading the bet? Because it's an exhibition. There's no judges, I don't think.
There's no
it's
judges.
it's a sanctioned fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's,
is?
it's a sanctioned fight.
I thought it was the same as like, who did Tyson fight a couple years ago?
Sugar
Roy
Ray.
Jones.
Maybe it was Roy Jones. Yeah, I thought it was the same as that, where
That
it's
might
just
have
like
been
a
an exhibition.
3-round
This
exhibition.
is actually a sanctioned fight.
Jake Paul is minus 210,
Yeah, Tyson's plus 180.
plus 170. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we think we hammer Jake Paul?
I say Paul.
Sounds like a potentially foreseen.
What are the
circumstance.
rules?
They're wearing
No helmets.
protective helmets.
No,
No
they're not.
helmets.
I thought that's what they agreed to.
No,
No.
it's a sanctioned fight. Like it's legit.
How old's Tyson?
He's gonna be 59 this
It's
year.
legit.
59?
Yeah,
He might die.
He may not give a fuck
59?
out.
yeah.
I don't want Mike Tyson punching.
I thought he was like 52.
Oh, sorry, he's 58. Yeah, he's 58 for sure. Yeah, he's 58.
He's in his upper 50s.
I mean, George Foreman won the belt at like 52.
Did he?
Yeah, he was pretty old. His last title
What a
defense.
hero.
But, you know,
What do you think, Matthew?
I mean, he is
Oh, I mean-
Iron Mike Tyson.
I don't know shit about
Okay,
shit.
I see.
I'm
So,
gonna take the YouTuber over fucking Iron Mike.
So
Like,
You
Tyson,
should. You
Tyson
really
and
should.
Paul will wear 14-ounce gloves rather than the standard 10-ounce gloves. Rounds will be 2 minutes instead of 3, and the fight will be 8 rounds instead of 10 or 12.
Okay.
So
no,
that's
no
okay.
protective
No
headsets.
protective
No protective
gear.
headgear.
But
Ah,
that's the
interesting.
difference. So it's
and it can go to decision.
yes, it's
Okay.
8 2-minute rounds with 14-ounce gloves.
I mean, what's the price to bet Tyson knockout?
Oh, that's a sucker's bet.
No way.
Put
That's a way
that-
better bet than just betting
Well, yeah,
Tyson.
if he wins, it has to be by knockout. He's certainly not
Yeah.
going to go the distance.
New
That's what I'm
Stage
saying. It's a way
Warrior.
better bet than just betting
since,
Tyson.
Since we're still on, lines and shit. Steelers minus 10, plus 442.
Wow.
Conrad Sharp.
Sharp.
I mean, hey, last time he did a
Easy money.
7-teamer, it was free money, and he was right.
Well, that was really free.
I guess those odds aren't long enough for me. I'm gonna have to go bump up to Steelers -14.
Well, I can just
what can we do there?
I can tell you what that is. The max is -11.5.
Give it to me.
Plus 486.
Oh, fuck that.
That's crazy.
I'm gonna have to parlay it with like 3 George Pickens touchdowns.
Like the Ravens just don't play offense, and the Steelers win like 20-3.
You're laying like 2 touchdowns instead of taking a field goal. Like, that's crazy.
By the way, is sorry to change the subject,
It's
but
a lock.
is this Jake Paul Tyson fight the lowest point of any sport?
I don't think so.
Like, I don't know what. It's tough, man.
That's funny.
Like to run your own campaign and then call out a guy who's 59 years old. Like I was just thinking about how if he knocked him out, he'd be a huge piece of crap. And then I was like, well, if you go in the ring with him, you're kind of trying to knock him out. So.
Yeah, it's a clout call out, and I honestly think they both might benefit from Tyson winning by knockout.
Yeah.
There's a second fight for sure. Who knows what the
ticket prices and shit?
Yeah, like what their take of the gate
Tyson looks good.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, he's going to look good for about 30 seconds in the first round, and then it's not so good.
I don't know. Have you seen the videos of him training? He's going pretty.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he'll have these flurries, but come the second, third
Have
round...
you
like,
not seen Rocky Balboa?
That's right.
Do you not know how this story ends?
That's a historical documentary.
Yeah,
story.
I mean, it was basically a prequel to this fight.
A historical documentary.
Right. Like, come on.
People don't know this.
This is real.
He's too old to train for speed.
If you're asking me who I want to win, it's definitely Mike, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Guapo's the sharp one on this. I have to defer to him.
If it's not going to happen,
I don't think you can be sharp on boxing. They're just going to fucking fix the match.
Amen. I think boxing is the most rigged shit ever.
Wait till Jake Paul takes a goddamn dive in the third.
No, it's the other way. Jake Paul wants to win this one. He probably paid Mike so much money.
Why? What are you talking about? He's an old fucking man. He's supposed to win. You get way more collectively by getting a second fight out of it if Jake loses.
I think even Jake Paul's mom probably is rooting for Tyson. Like, I mean,
what's there
if
to
I
root
had a
for?
son and he fought a 60-year-old man, I'd be rooting for the old man. Like, that's on you.
This all sounds like a personal problem. I'll root for that guy.
Yeah.
I wonder.
It taught you better.
I wonder if they're drug tested since it's a sanctioned fight.
That's a good question.
Tyson has to be on gear. I mean, can't look like that at 60.
What about the other one?
Perky, you would love
He's
that
100% on gear.
Did you see that quote from Tyson? He said, he goes, Paul's a fabricated killer.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm an organic killer. I'm a natural born killer. I forget what the exact wording was, but it was.
I got to tell you, I don't think it was organic.
Probably not.
That's very
I don't think it was natural born either.
Well, although he did call Bill Burr a silly goose on his podcast one
That's
time,
funny.
so.
His podcast is actually really great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so good. He's talking to Bill Burr, and he's like wiling out, and Bill Burr's like, are you even listening to me? He's like, I'm sorry, man. I'm shrooming right now. It's just like, bro, this guy's amazing.
Jake Paul is fighting Mike Tyson, the podcaster, not Mike Tyson, the boxer.
Yeah, that part's true. Tyson's a long, long way removed from being Iron Mike, but still, I don't know, man.
He has that dog.
I can't believe the odds are only plus 170 for Tyson.
Mike Tyson's
definitely be a bigger dog.
Yeah,
I agree.
He's the only guy I would ever unironically refer to as woke. That guy's legitimately on another plane these days. He's so cool.
I don't know much about him.
He likes pigeons. That's all I know. There's like a whole coop.
Pigeons are sick. They used to work for us.
Sure.
They used to work for us?
No, seriously.
Carrier pigeons.
And now
they work for the government, huh?
When you said literally when you said us, I thought you meant like you and Berkey, like at the house or something. Like, you had like pigeons working for you.
Yeah, we send each other pigeon mail.
Honestly, I think we could get Chewy to train them.
Yeah.
Probably.
He can handle that.
Yeah.
Every time Landon inputs a sim, the pigeons fly off to go get the results.
Yeah. Right. That's
why it takes so long.
Yeah, that's why the computer's cooking.
Yep.
Yeah, we forsaken the pigeons, and now they're just all over the place.
The original drones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doves are a pigeon derivative. They're in the same bird family.
They look the same. They look very similar.
Yeah.
What do you think P stands for? Yeah.
Dogs are. Oh, Jesus Christ, you're slow.
Sorry.
That was so poorly timed.
I know.
What do you think the P stands for?
Oh, all right. That's all right. right, so let's move on then. All right, you take an L and just move on, right? You don't amplify the L. Jesus Christ, man!
No, we gotta amplify.
What are we doing
Oh,
here?
you're gonna step all over everybody else for a terribly timed joke.
All right. Can't wait to call you out.
Hey man, last time someone lost an argument, it was Keir, and you just left the podcast.
That's
so.
true.
I'm working on fumes here, Burger.
What did I
Right?
miss?
Sure.
Lamanna,
What'd I
Ashley, and
miss?
I have a rule where if one of us is telling a bad story, it's always me.
Yeah.
The other one's allowed to say abort. And you just stop the story, and you're not allowed to get clowned for a bad story because you saved everyone's time.
See that's pretty good. I like
like
that.
that.
That's a
Yeah.
good friend.
So I'll be in the middle of a story with friends, and she'll be like abort, and I'm like, God damn it.
Very humbling experience for you.
It's tough, man. Because I really do believe my stories are great until I hear that word.
And if you push on past the abort, you will be clowned.
Well,
Yeah, you can't push past it.
I mean, luckily for you, we're in Trump's America now, so those stories will just roll right on through.
Oh, very nice.
All right.
Get the dance going.
On that note, the Women's Poker Hall of Fame was announced yesterday.
Wow, that is the transition of the century. Bro.
Thank you. I'm very
Unbelievable.
I looked at Lamanna and he was just stone faced, like just no reaction at all. I'm like, is this gonna fall flat?
He's not going to help you on this one after you try to dunk
I
on
didn't
him.
need
One
help.
chance.
I didn't need help. I just needed you guys to get the joke.
That's a god tier
I
transition.
got it, but
right
you're
there.
not getting a laugh from me.
You lost the turtle for today.
You did.
You totally saved yourself from earlier because earlier you were like, speaking of Cincinnati, the Steelers are playing the
Cleveland.
Oh, sorry. Either way, the Steelers are playing Baltimore. I was like, what is that transition?
Because Baltimore used to be Cleveland.
Correct. It's okay, Jesse. Some of us
Abort, Jesse,
actually
abort, Jesse,
some of
abort.
us watch the NFL, buddy.
Jesse,
The
abort.
Cleveland
That's still a
Browns.
bad transition. You just want to talk about Pittsburgh.
Well, yeah.
That makes it a good
That's
transition.
why it was a transition.
Jesse, stop. You're going to make me defend Berkey, and I'm not in the mood.
All right. I'll take the L on this one.
Oh, that was good.
God, what a privileged fucking life this kid leads. He watches the NFL for a decade and sees 7 goddamn Super Bowls go his way. He has no idea what's going on around him.
I was
your team-
talking to Toby last night, and he was like, Jesse's a big Pats fan. He never watched it. I said, I watch every Super Bowl. And most of the time we're there, so it works out.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
tune in, and I'm like, oh, our team's playing.
I mean, last week was the Super Bowl when they beat the Bears for us.
Oh, that was nice.
That was big for Survivor.
That was nice.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
They really showed.
That
Drake
was
May
what?
really showed up for us.
Like 15 people?
14.
14?
Yeah, it's a little bit concerning though because now it's difficult to pick against New England so confidently,
That's how it's like with the fucking Panthers.
and we kind of have to.
Conrad
It's
would have been
ruined
gone in
us.
Munich.
Yeah, listen. It's hilarious. I've been saying I'm going to die in Munich in my Survivor for the past, 6 weeks, Landon?
4 to 5.
It's been a while. I was like, I'm going to die in Munich. I'm dying with the Giants in Munich against the Panthers. For some reason, I changed it
For some reason,
like 48 hours before. I was like, all
some
right, I'm going
reason?
off them.
if you're in a Survivor pool and you find yourself ever choosing the New York Giants,
whatever.
you've gone wrong somewhere.
30 people had them.
Yeah, they got
They went
they
wrong
got taught
somewhere.
a lesson.
Yeah.
They got taught a real
Hey man,
fucking quick lesson.
people
It's a
try to bet on
beautiful thing.
Seattle against the Giants, and they got taught a lesson.
Yeah, well, I didn't say anything about betting on or against the Giants. I said betting on them is a fool's errand. All right. The Women's Poker Hall of Fame had its 2 inductees named yesterday. Kristen Foxen, no surprise, gets in first attempt as she deserved to.
First ballot.
First ballot
First
Hall of
Famer.
Famer. Do we know what the prereqs are? Is there an age prereq the same way there is for the regular one?
I do not know.
Because I feel like she's not 40, but I guess there's a chance that she could be. I mean, we've known her since 03.
Have we?
Yeah, she was grinding Turning Stone with us.
Not no 3.
04, 05?
Really?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah.
a 506.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
how much more time you got? We moved here in 08.
Oh, yeah.
37.
37, okay.
So
Yeah, she's in our age bracket, I guess.
I'd like to think that I'm still in the 30s.
Yeah,
age
that's
bracket.
that's adorable.
Yeah, that's my age bracket, sure.
Right. And then Jeannie David also was co-inducted with her. We'll start with her because her story, I think, is a little bit less known. I certainly wasn't familiar until this induction panel came to be, but she has worked with Responsible Gaming for PokerStars for many years, way back in the day, and then also helped the crusade to get online poker legalized here in the States. It looks like she had a fair amount to do with like onboarding it here and things of that nature. Obviously plays as well, but less. It seems like she's less inducted for the player side and more inducted for the operator side, which unlike the regular Poker Hall of Fame, where we have this kind of like backlog of both players and operators alike, it seems as though the Women's Poker Hall of Fame made a conscious effort here to put in the most decorated player and the most decorated operator this year, which I think is a pretty good thing. Chrissy B, obviously no introduction necessary. Her resume speaks for itself. Just one of the most decorated women of all time, over $8 million in career earnings. Recently started playing high. I shouldn't say recently, maybe the last 5 years. She became more of a staple in the high roller scene. Mm-hmm. I would imagine that at some point in time in the near future, she's going to have the most earnings of any woman ever, which currently Vanessa holds at like 11-ish million, I believe. But yeah, I would imagine Kristen will pass that sooner than later. 5 World Series bracelets, which is the most of any woman of all time. Let's see. And yeah, her first cash goes all the way back to 2006. Coincidentally, my first cash also 2006. Difference being is mine was for $600 at Seneca, Niagara.
That was your first cash?
Yeah.
2006?
Yeah.
Everyone's got to start somewhere, bro.
I'm memeing a bit. It was like 3,300. It was the one where I talked them into giving me first place, and the other two chopped up second and third. Big day for me. Big day. Yeah. Tournaments weren't a thing, man. I don't think
that was my first main event cash. 06?
06?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wrong.
That was my first main event.
Or was it 07? Might have been 07.
No, it was 06. Because that was my first main event. 06. 07, I was broke. Didn't get to play.
Yeah.
And then 08, we moved here.
Right.
But yeah, congratulations to those two. Obviously, the rest of the panel, including Jen Shahade, they're all going to get in at some point sooner than later. I'll be curious to see if they also increase their the number that they let in. Just because, like, looking at this year's, you could have made a pretty strong case for all 8 of the women.
Right.
Yeah. Did you guys see this tweet by Egption Poker yesterday?
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
I did.
Okay, so for those who aren't familiar, he is a WPT Global Ambassador. And he quote tweeted Pads from December 31st, 2021. And said, I was thinking about this tweet today. Pads rec tagged me, and it pissed me off so much, I immediately texted somebody to get coaching. Within 6 months, I cleared a $250K downswing, and I haven't looked back since. Spite and anger are a powerful motivator.
Sick.
I immediately thought of Landon. I can't think of anybody motivated by spite more than you.
I like to do things to prove that I can do them.
Yeah.
When people, especially when people tell you that you can.
I bet you can't drive.
Dude, he's never gonna drive. We all know that.
Yeah, because he doesn't know how to.
He's not smart enough.
He's not smart enough. He doesn't have the capabilities to drive.
And he doesn't have the hand-eye
I
coordination.
think he has 2 left feet.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, what he doesn't have
he's gonna have his license tomorrow.
What he doesn't have is a working car.
That's actually true.
I bet he can't get it working either.
Yeah, I bet you can't get that car out of my fucking yard.
Guapo, this is
I love how we made this about
Guapo,
Landon.
this is where you're supposed to slide in with an offer right here.
He already knows.
You already just say a number right now.
Teslas have
$400.
Yeah, it's not worth very much. Whatever he paid for, it's probably worth like a quarter of that now.
Yeah.
They've really tanked in the last year and a half or so.
That's
the resale
life.
value.
Yeah.
Landon's gonna come rolling in a fucking in a Tesla truck, like just with his license
Cybertruck?
out, just like like how you like me now, motherfucker.
I won't lie.
I don't know. They might not like me anyways.
I saw this. I was on the strip the other day, and I saw this decked out Tesla truck. It had to be illegal. Like, there's no way that this is just okay.
The mirror glass finish.
What made it illegal?
So it had a wrap on it, which that's I think the coolest thing about the Tesla truck is it's so customizable.
A wrap? What is that?
The car.
You like wrap the outside instead of painting it.
Oh, gotcha.
So it had this wrap on it, and it said like something police, like TDC police or something like that, right? And it had a very small LED police light on the roof. It had these like additional lights on the side mirrors.
This can't be illegal. You're right.
Right? So like it had all this stuff. It looked like a full-blown futuristic decked out police car.
Right.
And I drive past and it's just some citizen driving it.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, what the fuck?
Were the lights on?
Yeah, he was like flipping the lights on and then turning them off.
Yeah,
it was red and blue.
Yeah, because you cannot be
lights,
legal.
But you can't have blue. Like blue's, that's where you like get into trouble.
It was, you know how like the old sheriff's car had had the big Okay, so it was like very thin LED on the roof. It was so dope. Like it was
it looked amazing.
It was really cool looking. I was like, man, this is like cops should get this for sure. Yeah, like they should just have a fleet of these things
cruising around Cybertrucks.
Yeah, they're really, really cool to look at, like in that sort of vein.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of like Jeeps, you know. Not that Jeeps are police, but like the way they're military. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like they just have that fit.
Right.
Where it's like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Bro, the little kid in me gets excited every single time I see a lifted Jeep.
Oh yeah.
Like with a really outrageous lift kit.
Right.
Yeah. Big fan of that.
Yeah.
Well, lucky for you, Trump's in presidency now. We're going to see a lot of trucks on the road.
Yep.
We're going to see a lot of we're going to see a lot of like F-250s with balls hanging off the back of them.
100%.
A lot of that going on.
Balls.
What is that about?
Well, you gotta really let people know that you have a small dick. Yeah. It's the only way to do it.
I've never understood the balls on the back
Jack
of the truck.
up the truck as high as possible. Put some testicles on the toe, you know, on the tow hitch, and just really let people know, hey, I got a micro peen. All right.
Don't forget the mud flaps with like the naked girl on them.
Yeah,
right.
The naked, the covering her like this. Yeah, gotta have that. So we had Keir on yesterday. Tell me if you've stop me if you've heard this one, Jesse. He cloned his dick.
Cloned it. I think clone's a wrong word.
Clone a Willy.
It's like a giveaway souvenir afterwards.
Right.
Yeah.
And
who is this?
Keir.
Let's
Sullivan.
go.
So he made like dozens of his dick into dildos.
Definitely ordered in bulk.
And he gives them to girls after he sleeps with them. What are your thoughts?
Well, he offers them. He doesn't give them. It's like if you want
a gift basket.
If you want it, you can take it.
It's a parting souvenir.
Yeah. Very, very Derek Jeter-esque, you know?
Is he like, hey, you got to take this? Or is he kind of like, hey, on your way out if you want? Like,
yeah,
exactly. It's that one.
Yeah, there's a bag of them over there. Choose whatever color you like.
Right.
That is strong. That's quite a move.
I think it's particularly a good power move if you're like, hey, if you had a good time here today, you know, take one and refer a friend.
That's part of the program.
Oh, that's nice too. Yeah.
Program. I see.
Right. Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious.
You can't really do that if you're packing a sub average size. You know, like
I think it's a bolder move if you are.
That's true.
It's got to become like a meme then, right?
What's a bigger power move than just like passing off a 3-inch Willy?
It's almost like, how good is he? I need to find out.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You should have options.
Kinda
So you
sick.
should have them in rubber and in chocolate, so you could have like an edible version, something like that going on. I like that.
Well, time for Jesse to start getting into business.
Yeah. You might be onto something here.
Mm-hmm.
Abort.
Oh, please abort.
I mean, I think we have good creative ideas.
By the way, I'm gonna get if ever there was a day that I've taken any vitriol off the rest of you, it's today, because I've made 2 jokes at Trump's expense, and that's just too many.
Yeah, that's true.
I need to correct. We still have 3 months of Biden falling asleep in the Oval Office, so I need to correct course and make sure I make fun of both sides equally.
That's true.
At least you doubled down on that sweet transition into the Women's Hall of Fame by following it up with the Keir replicating his dick story.
Yeah, look, if you guys would let me cook, this thing would move slow or smooth as possible. But the problem is you know, we get a cacophony. Yeah, it can't avoid it.
Cacophony.
One thing that has been going really well since the turnover in office is Bitcoin's just surging through the roof.
Yeah, it is.
We got a bunch of hodlers in this room, minus Guapo, who's still trying to, you know, panhandle for coins.
Hey, listen, I'm in the streets, man.
Hey, listen, better late than never.
Hey man, you got an extra like tenth of a coin laying around. You don't want?
No, listen, like he's a microcosm of what's actually happening in the market. The OTC decks are like running out of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like they're like, we got like 20 left.
Oh baby.
Yeah, so it's getting slim pickings out there, which can only be good. For
What happened to all that PayPal Bitcoin you were farming?
I took profits, puppy.
He
I took profits, and then
by taking profits, you mean you sold small portions, or you just emptied the
I mean,
so you take profits away, Landon takes profits.
I almost doubled up, and I said, "Give me my money."
Yeah, that sounds about right.
You almost doubled up.
Yeah,
you bought it like 40?
I bought it like at 40 something. I can't remember.
Let's go.
And then yeah,
no, you bought it like 30 something. I
whatever
think,
it was.
you?
Like you remember?
Yeah, and then you sold it like I don't know.
Way too early.
Yeah. Guapo,
whatever it was, way too early.
If you don't buy back in and you never make more money on Bitcoin, you will have done better than 90% of crypto. The crypto world, I can nearly guarantee it.
Definitely in right now.
Oh, we're in, baby.
The trouble is that he will keep he'll keep doing this like almost martingale system of like buying in, doubling, selling. Oh, not now. He's gonna hold.
He told me once he's fully allocated to where he wants to be. He told me, don't even tell me the Bitcoin price for the next year. He goes, I don't want to look at it for a year. I was like, man, you might want to look at it sometime next year because it might have like quadrupled.
Who cares? You should just send it over to Brian. Yeah. Just don't you can't touch it then.
Yeah.
You guys don't know Guapo very well.
I'm listening. Go ahead.
There's no chance that you get in at 85 or 87, whatever it is now.
I started at around like 75. I put a chunk in at 75, put another chunk in at 80, put another chunk in at 80.
Guapo hasn't stopped looking at it.
There's no shot when that thing hits 125 that your ass isn't clicking the sell.
No, I'm in for the long run, puppy.
There's also,
I think I've convinced him.
Yeah, the first time around, I was very new to. I don't have a camera today, sorry. But the first time around, I was very new to this, and I almost doubled up my money. And for me, I had a significant amount in there, and I was like, "This is good for me."
Hold on, I have to pick at this. I'm sorry. When you say you had a significant amount, I'm not talking dollars. I need to know like percentage of net worth.
4%.
Well, not a lot, but
okay.
4%.
Okay, there it is.
4%.
There it is.
Hey man,
I bet it was less.
It's still a lot of money.
I bet it was less than 4% of his net worth after it doubled.
No way.
I'll bet on it. $100.
What? Yeah, sure. It's no way it was less than 4%. No way. God, ain't that rich. Jesus Christ. How much do you think he put in?
Like 10K.
Jesus!
Listen, let's not talk about my finances.
What is 4% of fucking
20K? So
4%,
we're talking.
We're talking the opposite. We're talking not 4% of 20K.
Of 10.
He has to have more than
right.
What is if you put in 10K and it doubles, then it would be.
Agreed not to do math on it.
It'd be 25 times 20K.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Guapo's a $500,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Listen.
You think this eBay store
is
a
Guapo,
fucking
right now, without thinking about it, tell us your net worth.
Right.
Guapo, just tell him to pay me by 100.
Yeah. Bank of America isn't letting me put money in right now because I've been going a little hard.
One thing you guys don't know is Guapo has his net worth always written down on a plaque, and he gives it out to girls after they sleep with him.
Oh, it was good.
Afterwards is a really good time as opposed to before.
Yeah.
By the way, if you had a good time, I'm also
maybe it's actually
at least a $500,000.
Maybe it's actually on his business card. He just like hands it out at the bar.
Right.
Like, hey, call me. Just right next to it, like I'm a $500,000.
But Bitcoin did have it had its best day of all time yesterday.
Yeah,
which is insane. I don't think percentage wise, but definitely price wise. Right. So
actually, the second best day. Sorry to interrupt you.
Go ahead.
Is crazy to think about. Given it was like plus 7.5K, but it was back when Bitcoin was like 50 or something. So percentage wise, that was insane.
Right. Yeah, that's wild. I don't know. How high do we think it can go, boys?
I don't know.
I'm just glad I had I was supposed to pay an election bet in Bitcoin, but thankfully they were nicer with letting me not do that. That was a good idea to not pay in Bitcoin.
That was a good idea.
I did not realize that. I didn't realize at the time taking the line was also a hedge on crypto because crypto is clearly cooking now that Trump has won, which has made me back the money, which I lost by betting on the other side.
Wait, you bet in dollars or you bet in Bitcoin?
I bet in dollars, but I could have settled in crypto.
Oh, well, sure.
But I almost did. I was like, oh, this might be easier. And then I realized that would have been a bad idea.
The things you do out of convenience, my friend, have cost you so much. Like, I'm very much you should pay for convenience kind of guy. What else are we working for in this world if not to make our lives easier utilizing the dollar?
Ask Conrad about the mattress yesterday.
But the things that you do for convenience sake,
it's insane.
It's embarrassing, man.
An example, please.
I mean, I'm not gonna, harp on the kid because the stuff that he doesn't want to do. He's like, "Hey, Conrad, do you want to put some money to do this?" So I'm like, "Okay,
right, yeah."
So let him not do what he wants to do.
Well, like the
Conrad needs job security.
The paying to have the room cleaned out. That's quite reasonable. He definitely should not need to do that. But like,
I didn't pay for that. I did that.
Well, either way, whatever.
Yeah, give me one back. I did that one.
Okay, but I'm saying like
you get that one back.
Paying somebody for manual labor or like running errands and stuff like that, that's completely reasonable. You trying to pay to get your license fast tracked,
that's funny,
is unbelievable.
When did I do that?
The 16 different appointments that other people have made for you that you haven't gotten to yet.
But I never paid for those.
Well, damn, that's
you
even
paid
worse.
The person, didn't you?
No.
They just made you appointments for free?
I mean, I don't think it costed anything to make an appointment at the DMV.
No, their time.
Oh, no, I didn't pay for anything.
Why would people do you these favors for free?
Because they love me.
No.
Do you know
that's
Jen?
even worse.
Do you know Jen?
That's even worse. Honestly, that's even
Jen,
worse.
Never mind.
It was Jen.
It doesn't matter. That makes it so much worse.
Yo, did you guys see this Scottie Pippen tweet?
Yes.
Satoshi visited me this was on September 3rd. Satoshi visited me in my dream last night and predicted that Bitcoin will be at $84,650 on November 5th, 2024.
He was off by a few days.
This is not financial advice.
I mean, it's just a meme tweet, right? Like he just predicted the day after the election or the day of the election.
The day of the election, yeah. He thought he was banking on Trump winning, I'm sure. And
it's the meme tweet.
Absolutely cooked though.
Just the meme tweet.
That's still pretty accurate.
Absolutely
so mad
cooked
about that. Matt's pissed about that CSA.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
I'm pissed about all CSAs. It's become like a really bad bit.
That was a good CSA.
There is no such thing. The best CSA is the one that doesn't happen.
Yeah, whatever.
Did you see? Well, did you see the who was the? I put it in the chat. The football player who
Russell Okung.
Russell Okung. They got this was back in 2020, and he had a $13 million contract. I think he was playing for the Panthers. He wanted half of it paid in Bitcoin, so $6.5 million paid in Bitcoin, which they did, which is now worth $45 million.
Right, but like who knows how much of it he held and whatnot.
I think he held it.
Oh, he held it.
I think someone who wants to get their money like that paid in Bitcoin is a hodler.
I mean, he definitely made money off of doing so, but I remember back when he made that tweet, there was so much pushback as to crypto as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you do that? Like, you're just burning money into the ground.
Right.
Like, the public perspective has now changed completely. It's like,
I don't know if it's changed.
Bro, this guy I follow on Twitter retweeted every single negative comment about him buying. It was unbelievable. Yeah, yesterday it was unbelievable.
Yeah, this aged really well.
Yeah.
I feel like Mike McDonald likes doing that.
He did. I saw a Scottie Pippen tweet. That wasn't the same one retweeted by Mike McDonald.
Yeah.
Did you see Mike McDonald's tweet about buying a castle?
That was years ago, but I saw him quote tweet it
I'm never buying
a day or two ago and say like this castle is really back on the
yeah, it's
back
back
on the
on
docket.
Yeah.
So to be clear, he said he was looking at houses and this one just happened to be a castle that he liked. He wasn't looking for castles, which is like probably way more baller than actually going out to buy a castle. Like, it's just in the general price.
In the
range.
castle market.
Yeah.
Isn't that like one of the jokes though? Like once you open Zillow, it's over. I feel like I've seen some tweets from him about that.
That's
like
probably a good indicator.
Well, it's more like tweets for crypto, but like there's a difference between people getting into crypto and like Mike McDonald. There's Timex Rich, and then there's like I have some Bitcoin Rich.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
Like Timex could buy a castle or two if he wanted to.
Timex said, sometimes people say things that you've been thinking but haven't put into words. Timex a few years ago said something that I've been thinking for a long time. He said, the most degen thing about me is that if I don't have 100% of my net worth in Bitcoin and I'm leveraged long somewhere, I'm actively rooting for it to go down. I was like, yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah,
generally. And I'm not always 100% in it, but in those times, I'm like,
not always. When have you had 100% of your net worth in Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, you would have to have. So I have like a lot wrapped up in real estate, right? So I'd have to have like leverage longs that override.
Just answer the question.
Jeez. Interrogation.
Well, he knows what he said.
All right, fair enough.
We're responsible adults.
Stretch a little thin there, Jesse.
We're all responsible adults who don't have fuck you money like Timex. Like, nobody has 100% allocated to this goddamn coin, except maybe me at different junctures. And I gotta tell you, it wasn't a comfortable feeling.
You'd really be surprised.
You're right, but the point still stands. Like, this little part of me is always like actively rooting it for it to go down because I could get a little more in there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
definitely.
So
yeah.
You're not wrong, but it's still, yeah.
Yeah, I probably, it's weird. I have the opposite mentality, and I probably shouldn't. But basically, just by sheer happenstance, every single time that I've hit a big enough downswing where I've gotten a little bit illiquid, Bitcoin has been at like peak.
Nice. So you just cashed out.
So I've like cashed out at peak pretty much every single fucking cycle. I've cashed out like, 25-30% of my Bitcoin and liquidated. And I never think to myself, okay, I'm going to wait for an opportunity to buy to get back in. But it just always happens. Because somehow
you were trading cash for coin.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah, when I'm upswinging the most, Bitcoin's on sale. And I just happened to end up with like,
that's nice.
15, 20
nice
coins.
Timing,
yeah.
Well, nobody say
that
Berkey
luck is
didn't
going to run
hot.
out. Yeah, that luck will run out. And well, hopefully not prior to the Survivor. God, I need to win this thing. Maybe I'll ask Circa if I could just get the whole thing in Bitcoin.
That'd be a great storyline.
Just pay me in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We accept now.
Right.
All right.
Speaking of
since
responsibility,
we're talking about responsibility and gambling, let's get to the main topic today, which is our good dear friend Rampage. You fucking idiot! I don't know how many times. Look, I guess I could take my time to do this off air every now and again, but I feel like he won't hear me. I feel like if I call him or I send him a text and I say, "Hey, don't be dumb," it's too late because he's already been dumb. But if I publicly shame him, maybe he'll come around and finally just say, like, you know what? I gotta stop.
Yeah, he's
I gotta
I'm so
stop.
glad you're having this response, by the way, because I was so triggered yesterday when I saw this.
It
angered me.
The
like,
tweet?
it honestly angered me, yeah.
It didn't anger me. It made me question how many millions of dollars Rampage is fucking sitting on.
This is what we know of. Like, this is what we know.
He was joking in the thread. I mean, the thread has since been deleted, but he was like joking in the thread saying that he took out a loan to do this.
The thread was
which
so
I hope
funny.
is not true. But
someone responded to the scammer 2024 said, "Good on you for getting scammed year over year to find a new winner for this."
It's truly remarkable.
Full commitment to the bit.
Did you see the Nigerian princess one?
Yeah, because I should only be so lucky to meet one someday.
Your Nigerian prince's wet dream. That's what I read.
That's what it was.
That's a good CSA.
We've been on air for just under 3 years, and I think this is our third or fourth Rampage got scammed show.
I remember Ethan DeLona versus Dustin the Closer.
Yeah. That was bad, man.
Oh, the Dustin, that picture of him on the plane was unreal.
How about the picture of this bookie? He looks like one of the phone charger sales guys in fucking the real hallway. There's no shot. There is a 0% chance this man put in a single fucking bet for Ethan.
Right.
He just pocketed the money and free rolled his losses. That's absolutely what happened here. Literally,
he does
0%.
He does kind of look. He has like Tinder swindler vibes.
Yes. Yes.
His enemies are after him.
Precisely has Tinder swindler vibes. Ethan
Sorry, I'd ship you that 40, but my enemies are after me.
Yeah, Ethan shared. This is Dustin the Closer, obviously.
Okay,
Who wouldn't want to lend this guy $500,000?
First one on the left, Rampage on X. I'm over being quiet.
Oh man, how Rampage? Just
how do you not learn after the first go around?
Just give us the money, man. We'll light it on fire or something.
We'll have a promo code for you on this podcast. We'll do so much good with that money.
It's so sad.
I mean, it's a testament to how hard he's working and how effectively he's using that time to make money that he can burn this much too. Like he's making jokes about taking out loans, but I would imagine he's making a lot of money per year that he can burn this much. And there's other things that we don't know about, and he's still just doing extremely well.
Yeah, no, of course that's obviously the case here.
I think this is part of why Guapo got triggered.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's just tilting. Like if you're making this much free money,
it's tilting.
The difficulty here is all of these scams are not just like, you know, if you ran it by someone, they would tell you, buddy, let's take a step back here. You're like, this isn't an app that went
app game that went under or whatever.
Yeah, this isn't like an app game that went desolvent or not. Is that the right word? Insolvent. Sorry. And suddenly like they can't pay, right? Like that's forgivable. That happens. You're in a spot where you might be making money and like the guy rugs you. Okay, this isn't like a meme coin or an NFT that like went to zero.
Crypto space,
where it's like sure, there's a ton of risk here, but there's also some high side, right? And you know, the scams are a dime a dozen, but also like if you're able to find the needle
this
in the haystack,
one's on you, Ethan.
It's like, come on, man. Like this guy looks like he's pushing fucking perfume at the mall and he asked you to post $600K with him. Like
why not just go down to the strip? Like, what's going on
like
no, but that's the thing, right? It's
take up a habit at the strip club or something. It's cheaper.
Support small businesses, cuz.
Yeah, you'll support small business. You'll get more out of it. Like, just bet with me. You clearly aren't sharp. Like,
Burke's taking
I don't know.
action.
He bought Trump at 220 after the assassination that went wrong.
I'm just so confused.
Yeah, but he posted with the same guy, so
yeah, he posted.
That's the unfortunate side.
Yeah, but
of that.
Matt has a civic responsibility to pay Ethan back and not take his money.
Right, and also it's
not
like
this guy.
oh, I see what you're saying. If Berkey had bet with him, he would have. Yeah.
Berkey would have paid out.
Yeah, that's
it
true.
would have paid out.
That's
but like
point.
also like 220 wasn't exactly the best Trump line that was available.
No, it was not. But hey, someone took the other side of that and lost some money. So
sure,
there's winners and losers. Sure. Listen, man.
Picking a winner is not the fucking triumph you're making it out to be here.
But he picked one. Listen, man. Yeah, the illegal book market.
This is what's mind-boggling.
Mamma mia.
You live in Las Vegas, Nevada. There are infinite casinos to get money down, but let's say that they limit his action. He can't get $600K worth of volume down. Okay, I get it. There are as many, if not more, illegal bookies in this city alone that have a gold star standard trust to them.
If you go to the Bellagio and sit down at just about any game, two-thirds of the table will probably take your sports bets.
For sure.
I'm not going to lie. Like, every time I play poker live, I'm like, is everyone just a bookie?
Yes.
I think 90% of the poker room is a bookie.
That's what I just don't understand. It's like, where do you meet these people?
Instagram.
How are they not being vetted? I feel like these people seek him out somehow. It's like,
what do you mean somehow? He's publicly advertising every time he gets scammed. I mean, he's like letting everyone know he's a spot.
That is.
I'm sorry, it's just the truth.
That is true.
You guys just don't get it, man. You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, and you guys are ignoring this.
Brother, he's down $2 million in scams.
Yeah, you got to break some big eggs.
Ostrich eggs.
Oh, there's a fucking
I'm serious.
What do you think he's lost in like NFTs and crypto rugs?
Oh,
I mean, it has to be infinite, right? Like
that's what we want him on the
imagine he just faded all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or he made money.
Like, no, I don't trust that market.
Yeah.
If you get an email saying, please send me your seed phrase, do not do that, Ethan. Do not send those
Ethan was in on
anybody.
Solana Shiba Inu doggy coin at 0.04, and now he's
I could see that. I could see him buy a bunch of Dodge when it was like fucking 0.0006. And
now it's at 33 cents. That's why he can fall on the sword and get scammed by the bookie.
Man, it's just so hard. He has a network of people that are free and available. Like if literally,
he could text so many people and say, "Hey, I need a book."
Yeah. Anybody who plays high
Can't
stakes,
be that hard.
Literally any human being who plays high stakes, he could have sent a text to and said, "Hey, I'm trying to get some action down."
And someone's like, "Ethan's betting? Hell yeah, brother!"
But like, here's an OTC chat. Here's 3 bookies that I can recommend to you. Here's somebody else. Like, so many ways to get infinite action down.
I do feel like there's a part of him that kind of likes getting scammed, so he can do this. You know what I'm saying? Where like if he goes to like a nice trusted place and like doesn't have stories like this or whatever.
What's life about?
It's exactly like this happens. He gets to like fully have rage and be like, you know what? I'm ready to see the world burn.
I feel like this is equivalent to like those people that get caught on like To Catch a Predator by Chris Hansen, where like a part of them, like while they were going back and forth, part of them knew. I mean, 100% of them knew like what they were doing was wrong, obviously, but part of them knew that there was like a likelihood of getting caught,
right?
And that was the thrill somehow. And it seems like that's this like
thrill-seeking behavior.
He had to feel like shame and embarrassment as this grift continued to go on, right? Like with every dollar that got sent, there had to be less and less confidence that he would ever see a return.
Right.
But somehow,
why would there be less and less confidence?
Well, I don't know, because
Ethan did say in the post,
big money.
Ethan said in the post, like for the first X amount of time, it was all good. Like it was all good for a few months.
So he was just losing.
No, he was like winning, losing some, but like all the money would be like sometimes he'd win and he would get paid back that same week. So there was like good rapport, if you will.
I guess I didn't see that in the post.
Yeah,
anywhere. I mean, the post is. We have a couple screenshots of it.
Yeah, but it's been
from
gone.
Reddit
He was
here?
saying everything was good for the first X amount of time, but then slowly the trust was lost. But
that's not what it says.
That's
it
not
says
what I read either.
He provided great customer service as I lost piles and I sent him infinite PayPal and Zelle.
But
he never won.
Yeah, but you never had reason to think that the guy was actually. In fact, even if you're a scammer, even if you plan to rug Ethan initially, if you watch him downswing 600K, I actually think that you're like a favorite to pay out when he actually wins like 150 grand, because you're just like, this money train should keep on rolling.
Yeah, except the problem is that people who are scamming like this don't expect it to just perpetually roll downhill.
Right.
So they just spend it as they get it. And you're not going to have 150.
Yeah, so you're not even liquid to the 100. Yeah, that's possible. I'm not arguing for Ethan's side, obviously.
No, I understand that.
I'm just saying this guy is a terrible businessman as well as being a scammer.
If Jesse was the scammer, he's letting this gravy train keep going.
Because Jesse's liquid. Jesse would be going from
Bitcoin.
rich to wealthy. There's a difference. Most scammers are going from poor to rich.
Like poor to some unsustainable lifestyle, to where when Ethan wins back money, it's like, oh, I don't have this because I spent it on
of course.
a bunch of supporting small businesses.
Yeah, so he said through the first 6 to 8 months of this by the way, he said he only lost half of the 600K to this guy. So there's another
secret other guy.
There's another secret other guy who's just waiting in the wings to pull the fucking rug.
You know who it is?
Jesse.
That gravy train's rolling,
it turns out I'm not going to pull the rug, though. I'm just going to keep on. I learned something here today.
You just slow pay and keep him in action.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll all come your way.
Yeah, I got you. That wire's on its way.
Yeah. Yeah, you and Hashtag King just waiting on a wire.
Life is on the wire.
I forgot about Hashtag.
God, there have been so many good stories in poker in the last
Ethan's
decade.
saying that he wants to 1v1 box Dustin, and if someone gets knocked out, you just get to keep going. I was crying for an hour.
He has a lot of pent-up rage.
That's what I'm saying,
and I feel like it's all directed at himself. You know, it's like, I'm really mad that I keep getting scammed.
He's literally going to go on a rampage.
His rampage for me. He said, if you beat me, you don't have to pay. But if I beat you and you're knocked out, I get to keep wailing on you until I'm done.
Yo, that was one of the better things I've ever heard.
It was an unbelievable tweet.
Yeah,
this is season 11 on Second Thought. Today we're going to look at
you didn't make that just now.
What's that?
You didn't make that.
I just made it right now.
Oh my God,
that's
you're
amazing.
unbelievable.
That's such a gangster thing to say. Like, I don't even care about the $500,000.
Exactly.
I just want to fight you. You're bigger than me, and I just want to fight you. It's probably a bad idea, but like.
But if I get you down, You're staying down.
Yeah.
What an incredible like 5-year run for Rampage. I mean,
generational.
Like, it truly is. Yeah. I remember when he final tabled won his first bracelet. I mean, final tabled it and then won it during COVID
on YouTube. Yes. He streamed it.
Yeah, he streamed the whole thing. It just so happened to like bookend the same time that I was streaming and made 2 final tables, and he was just a kid with a dream. You know, he was a young kid right out of college, decided to fire a little bit of money on WSOP, Sunran, shipped a bracelet for 6 figures. I mean, just a 6-figure score right out of the fucking gate.
Yeah.
We had him on Poker Out Loud shortly thereafter. We did the YouTube edition, and he came out here with his guy. They were vlogging the whole thing, just getting his start. He's like, yeah, I have a plan for YouTube. He's like, I have a system in place.
Got the sauce.
My channel's gonna grow. Like, I'm gonna monetize this. It was like, yeah, great. You do your thing, man. This is gonna be great. And he did that, and he did well with it. And then, like, you know, a year and a half later, he's just playing fucking nosebleeds,
and he's bluffing guys off of top set for $1 million bluff. That was a nice hand, by the way.
It was wonderful. I mean, it was insane.
Mm-hmm.
No,
it
I mean,
worked.
He well, I think the Ethan lore of like highlight moments was like winning the bracelet, playing on Hustler, getting wrecked by Garrett, and then all that other stuff. But it's like
won the 25K at the win.
Won $25K for $1 million
played
after
the $1
max late
million cash
regging.
game.
Look there. Oh yeah, I had aces against him in Poker Out Loud. That was an epic gamer moment.
Has anyone made it more clear that they just legitimately don't care about money? Not just like being scammed, but remember when he won the 25K? He sold the first bullet, but he was like, "This is kind of a degen rebuy. I'm not going to sell."
Yes. And he paid people
and then
back.
And then he felt bad, so he just paid out anyways.
Right.
And like most people messaged him were like, "Bro, you really don't have to pay out," and he just did. It's a wild story, man. This whole 5 years of wild
sensational.
Story.
He reminds me of me during my come up without the negative feedback. Like he like he hasn't benefited from the negative feedback loop of just getting your dick smashed in to the point where you have to start back from scratch. Right? Like he just has way too much income coming in. So his version of negative feedback loop is getting scammed for mid 6 figures.
Yeah.
Time and time again, where it's like mine was sitting with my bankroll on the table in a 10-20 uncapped game and then losing set over set and being like, how could that ever happen? It's like, because it happens sometimes and you want to be able to reload whenever it fucking does. And you know what? You can't because you're an asshole.
I will say that the thing about Ethan that is like really cool to see as an observer is that he, regardless of positive or negative, like he puts himself in the spot, you know, and that just keeps you around.
Okay, but no, not in these instances.
Like I don't think there's
in gambling, sure, but the scamming is all spots. Every one of the scam spots are all spots that are just like blatant red flags.
I'm not saying that this was necessary or smart. That's not what I'm getting at. I'm just saying that he didn't have to talk about any of this.
Okay, right.
But
I think that makes it worse.
You think it makes it worse
I think this being public makes it worse. It makes him a mark, first and foremost.
That's true.
He gets no retribution here. Like, this guy's never fucking paying.
Correct.
So that's number 2. Maybe he prevents a small collective of people of getting scammed by this guy again, but it's like, this grift should never work to begin with. You have to be so filthy rich or have such a high disregard for money to allow for 100% trust in a relationship that requires like a zero trust type of security system. Like, bare minimum, they should have had a middleman escrow.
I was going to say, yeah,
that both parties can trust. But instead, he's just posting tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to a random stranger on the internet.
There's more to the story. Didn't he say that he was introduced through a friend who has a book? I think he said that in one of the comments, which like
maybe I didn't see that one.
So obviously that's not an escrow, right? But he thought
got a hard vouch or
something.
I
mean, yeah, getting a vouch to a friend is very helpful, I would say. But like the thing is that the vast majority of upstanding bookies that like would take on this sort of action are generally going to be the ones more at risk than not. So I don't know how common it is for somebody to just be like posting a massive amount like this up front. I would assume most like bookies would work with you where like maybe you post a smaller amount, or
I would assume you're correct.
They offer like X amount of credit.
Yeah.
Like that's the way the app game works, is like I personally, like, I get extended 150k credit, and then anything else I have to post.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I have like 500k balance, and it's like I've posted 350.
Yeah, I would think one of the only reasons why people prefer to use books over like casino, like when you live here or whatever, you get posted like a line of credit.
Yeah,
basically.
You could also get more down.
Yeah,
like if they think that you're not sharp, they'll give you a much higher credit limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. And to be clear, I'm not saying that you're wrong in any way. I was just saying he may have other routes to some small percentage of retribution or whatever you want to call it.
Or
being
I see.
paid back.
Right.
He may have some other routes. And I think he also in the comments posted that the guy messaged him conveniently right after he posted.
He did, but that
said, "Hey, I got 40 for you."
No, that's not what it was. The text message said the guy reached out and just said like, "Hey, I just wanted to follow up," or something along those lines. I'm hopeful to get you this money ASAP. And Ethan replied, "You can't even send me 10k good faith money right now," or whatever. And the guy said, "I'm collecting off other people. Hopefully I can get you 30 or 40 soon."
I'm collecting. This is
it's such
not
Tinder
a Ponzi
swindler.
scheme at
Yeah,
all.
I mean,
I'm collecting off other people.
It's such a Tinder swindler response of like, "Oh, I'm telling you, it's coming. Just be patient. And eventually you just ghost." Mm-hmm. It's like once you've made enough, you just kind of disappear. I will say this to his credit, he is an amazing PSA to every young up and comer who's getting into the gambling space. Like, just don't do these things. You want to be a DGen. There are ways to be DGen without adding the additional risk. And I
liked your strip club idea.
Yeah, fuck it.
600k can get you a lot of positive reinforcement and confidence building.
Man, $600,000 over. You could go to the strip club every day for a year. Almost certainly, also get sexually favored.
Jesus.
And still probably have enough to go to McDonald's afterwards.
You're batting,
McDonald's is getting pretty expensive.
At 1,000 right now, Berkey. You say go to McDonald's after?
Yeah. I mean, there's gonna be some change.
Hey man, look.
You're gonna be hungry.
What if the book gave Ethan a promissory note?
I don't think that helps. I know that that's a callback, but even I at this point have forgotten what it's a callback to.
It was when GG bought WSP and paid half of 250 million or 500 million with a promissory note.
Yeah, but I think didn't that come to completion just recently?
Well, I mean, like the deal went through, yeah, but like they're still promising the money. They don't have to pay all of it.
Oh, I thought when the deal completed, they paid the rest.
No,
those are good. That's good as money. Those are IOUs.
Right. Hey man, being a book with promissory notes seems pretty lit. Like I promise I'll get you that money at some point. I also hope other people lose first.
I want to bring this back up since I don't think Jesse was a part of the conversation, but we can kind of wrap this before we get to the muck. Since we mentioned GG, have you noticed that they took all the high stakes private now?
I saw that. Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I mean,
on
I don't
this?
play on there, so
yeah, of course.
But,
we're American.
Yeah.
Not in this America. We don't gamble online like that. Yeah, I'm curious your thoughts on this because we had Keir on yesterday, who's actually played those games a fair amount, and he kind of had his take on things. I have a pretty contrarian take on everything as well. But a lot of the pushback that the comments and the audience tend to give is that if GG gets its way, that spells the end of poker. And I kind of don't agree, even though I don't think GG is doing this for any sort of good reason other than to line their own pockets.
It's tough because if this is the way that every high stakes game goes, I think the dream's kind of the poker dream the way it was is kind of dead.
Yeah.
And that's not good. It's really not good for inviting new people in because every person, regardless of whether they turn out to be a fish or a pro or whatever you want to call them, like really sharp, dreams of moving all the way up the stakes. But you expect to move all the way up the stakes because you're good. And if you're good enough, then you probably don't get a seat at the table that you're ultimately trying to get to. So I would say it's pretty bad for poker. I don't know if, like, you know, if just because GG does, I don't know if other sites follow suit. The thing about, like, I feel like I generally care less about this happening online. It's not just because I play there or don't play there as much, but it's more just high stakes online feels so dead to me for the most part that if they want to try to say, like, okay, our last chance to save it is privatizing, kind of like whatever, okay. Like there's basically, like, I know Heads Up for years has been the 5 best guys sitting at tables not getting action, and then occasionally like a fish shows up and plays them, but they basically just don't really have to play each other, and nobody else plays them.
Heads Up's a little bit different because it's a lot more, I guess, understood. It's much more mapped out. It's much more systematic. I think high stakes online has, I don't necessarily want to go so far as to say flourished, but GG definitely had a high stakes ecosystem that existed. Games ran pretty routinely 5K NL and above, and you know the player pool was probably somewhere between 50 and 100 regs, plus they have a lot of the Asian market that they tap into, so they got a lot of recreational money as well. You kind of echoed the sentiments of the comment section of the general populace of the conversation that we had yesterday, which is that the dream is dead. And it's not even pushback, but I guess my playing devil's advocate is, hasn't it been the case that the dream has been dead since Black Friday? And the timeline that I basically gave was pre-boom, pre-moneymaker, everything was private. There was no limit game in the world that wasn't private. Like, you just could not walk into a casino and get no limit hold'em. It wasn't really a thing. West Coast spread, like, draw games, a lot of 5-card stuff. And then the East Coast spread mostly stud derivatives. That's not to say there wasn't, like, a random small stakes no limit game here and there. I'm sure, you know, the Golden Nugget had a little 1-2 action and shit like that. But point being is that public no limit hold'em really wasn't a thing. And guys like Doyle and Bobby Baldwin and Chip Reese and everybody else, not only did they play all the games, but if they were playing no limit hold'em, it was basically always going to be in a private club somewhere in the back of a bar. And that's how we got this history of being a seedy game, right? That's the background of what created this whole stigma around our industry. That mostly got shed during the moneymaker boom. And the big aspect of the boom that I think the public overlooks is the drastic influx of money from online poker sites. And it wasn't just directly benefiting the community as a whole. It was an ancillary benefit to literally anybody who was dealt a hand, even if it was at, you know, micro stakes or whatever the case may be, because it did facilitate the dream. The dream was born out of moneymaker. It wasn't born out of the game of poker, right? There was no dream prior to moneymaker. Nobody aspired to be Doyle Brunson. You know, the movie Rounders, I think, encapsulates it pretty well, where the dream was to be able to play the World Series main event and to sit with the best and have a chance to win. And at most, you know, you were hopeful to make $1 million at that time.
Johnny F. and Chan.
Right. And it might even been less in '98 when Rounders came out. It was about $1 million.
Yeah, because remember at the end he says,
"Oh yeah,
$1 million.
Right, yeah.
That's my name on it."
Yeah. And that was a once-a-year event, right? So, you know, the average rounder.
What a sick movie.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a great movie.
But like the average professional, you know.
Movie. Thanks, Landon.
The average professional back then, not really making a ton, if any at all. And at the extremes, when you look at like the Doyles and the well-established pros, even then, they might have been making more gambling on the golf course than they were, you know, playing. But the point is that they were just strictly gamblers. They weren't professional poker players. So his dream is born now out of this time frame between the moneymaker boom and Black Friday, and the vast majority of it is being propped up by online poker dollars advertising dollars, establishing pros. We have this entire wave of early 2000 professionals: Ivy, Durr, Negreanu, Patrick Antonius, Howard Lederer, and the whole Phil Tilt collective, right? All of these guys are born and propped up basically by these online dollars. Then Black Friday comes, crashes everything down, and we, as a community, continue to prop up the dream ourselves. But the game and the ecosystem has been recessing ever since, right? So high stakes went by the wayside, and it started to turn private again. Somewhere in the mid-2010s, pretty much every live high stakes game that existed went private again. And there was a lot of backlash and pushback saying, like, this is not a meritocracy. I can't just get really good at the game and go play nosebleeds. It's like, yeah, exactly. Because it's gambling again. Right?
Yeah, and sorry, to be clear, like I said, a dream is dead, not the dream is, or said like a version of the dream is dead, because you're exactly right. Like the whole, like the dream of making money, a lot of money in poker, or whatever you want to call it, isn't necessarily dead. It's just changed.
Yeah.
How you have to go about it.
Well, it's kind of reverted back, right? It's the tournament scene again.
Yeah.
The way it was just playing the main event in '98, now it's, becoming a regular at Triton.
Or there's still a dream of, I could get into these big games.
That's all. That's
I
a
could
different
find my way in.
Right, a totally different
but
path,
it's a different
right?
style of dream than we originally imagined, and that's fine. And that's why I'm not out here like campaigning against like poker sites making games private or these private games, because I recognize that this is just a shift in how things have to, maybe not have to, but probably have to operate. And there's just like, it's pointless to fight.
I also think the use case that's like completely being ignored is the app game space and what it's done in the last 2 to 3 years. I don't know this for sure, but I would wager pretty confidently that the amount of liquidity on apps is greater than the amount of liquidity on a site like GG.
That's interesting, because I don't think that would exactly be true, only because
maybe not like exactly at this moment, but peak app.
Yes, I just don't think like bros. I would say, all right, so like more like money in, money out would be more, because I don't think people left money on bros like ever.
No, of course.
Sorry.
Yeah, of course. I'm saying like if you added up all the credit.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's good money.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but money was never added on bros. It was always agent based.
Yeah, but again, GG was an agent based startup as well. So like, let's just assume it to be like, if you took all of the app credit that is out there and all those balances and you totaled them, I think that amount of liquidity is higher than like maybe the rest of world
during peak. It probably was 2 to 1.
Yeah,
if you think about it, because there was just so much app games going on.
Everybody had an app. Everybody was an agent.
Yeah, and
said, Play
you
my
guys
club.
are you guys are thinking about it
crazy,
but you guys are thinking about it at scale, at like the smallish type stakes and the volume there. I'm not even talking about that, because I think it's difficult for the apps to sustain that level by comparison to rest of world. Rest of world offers cheaper games. They offer safety and security and stuff like that. I'm thinking nosebleeds.
Yeah, like the jungle ghosting stuff.
Yeah, just tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars are being exchanged amongst a group of like a few hundred to maybe 1,000 players.
I mean, you got to think about how big like these unions were on the app games. Like, they were huge. And think about like
1, 2,
think
2,
about
5.
it. Yeah, and think about if you have like 10 tables of that running.
Right,
that's absurd.
And to that point, all of that is semi-private.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess coming full circle, like I bring this back up because one of the comments on yesterday's show caught my eye. Not in a sense of like, I think you're dead wrong or anything like that, but
normally those get you.
Yeah, but no, it more so embodied what I think people are missing with the point of all this. And it basically said something to the effect of like, it was giving Keir a hard time, saying like, oh, he's just acknowledging that like, or he's just okay with GG ruining poker indefinitely moving forward, or something along those lines. And my reply was, well, it's not being okay with the idea of shutting winning players out of games. It's more so just being okay with the idea of the market dictating what's best and understanding that if GG goes this path of privatizing games and it works, it's because the market's responding positively to these changes. If it fails, then that's on them for coming up with a business plan that was set to fail due to its exclusivity. But if I were a betting man, I would bet that this not only works, but starts to happen more so at scale throughout the industry. And yeah, that sucks to be a skillful player, not being able to get into the best games in the world.
It is that skill-based prestige entitlement. You know, I'm so good, I should deserve to get to play the highest stakes. And
or the best games.
The market is now saying, oh, I never even saw it as the best game. Like, I deserve to play high stakes because I've worked to get here. The only barometer should be money, not politics. But the market is clearly saying politics and the way things are going are more important than how good you are.
Well,
why are you good for us?
If you don't care about the best games, then you can play high stakes. You just have to convince a bunch of other really fucking talented players to sit with you.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and also, sorry, to Landon's point, there are some of the best players in the world getting into these games. So, like, you have to acknowledge if you're not in the games that there's something else that they're doing that's getting them. Like, there's a route to get into them.
Right.
Like, I don't know if anyone's been watching. Vinny Viti's been streaming.
Yep.
And he's like an elite PLO player, and he's been playing those like Coinbase 20K buy-in cash games.
Coin poker.
Coin poker 20K buy-in cash games that are like private games. And, you know, he's just in there. And, like, if I ask to be in there tomorrow, they might not let me in. They might let me in. I don't know. But there's a chance they don't let me in. But it's not because I'm better than Vinny Viti. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I'm very clearly worse than Vinny Viti.
Oftentimes, I think it's kind of like the bell curve meme, right? Like, where the players that frequent these private games are the recreationals and some of the best in the world. And a lot of the talented players are the top of the bell curve because what happens is you could be extremely good at the game, but not quite good enough to where you know how to manufacture losses, right? But when you're the best, you can just, you understand how to handicap the field. You understand what you can do within the constructs of the game that make you very valuable to said game by just handicapping your own win rate and giving back, right? And I think that that's lost along the collective because it's really fucking hard to even get to the point of just being good.
Well, that's kind of what you're seeing in the high stakes and call it the Triton Invitational and stuff like this, where really good players will cap their winnings by selling action to the recreational that invites them. Well, otherwise, you don't get in.
Yeah, but it doesn't cap. They can't afford to buy in themselves.
I mean, I'm sure some can, but like if you don't get the opportunity to play it.
Yeah. I don't think that's a good example. Just because very few people are liquid enough to just be firing 200Ks and having 100% of themselves. So it's just like a win-win. You're selling anyway.
Yeah, that's fair.
And so selling to the recreational who's going to invite you seems like a pretty good proposition.
I guess it's more so for like live private cash or whatever, where people have money and you have to sell action to the guy that runs the game to get in.
I think to your point, a better example though is people playing Tritons that are very talented and have a win rate in those pools, but certainly wouldn't put themselves in or wouldn't be able to necessarily put themselves in a position to play like the 100K invitational with the win that just happened where they allowed 3 pros and had 47 recs. It's like, okay, well, to be one of the 3 pros, you have to be able to play this 100K and not try to win it. Like, you're allowed to win it, but you have to play in a manner that doesn't signal to anybody that you're trying to win, which means giving up a lot of EV along the way in a high variance environment to begin with.
Right.
Sorry to interrupt. Do you know the Ben Lamb Aria story?
Yeah. When they first started the 200-400 game, he wasn't allowed to raise pre-flop. They let him in the game, but he wasn't allowed to raise pre.
That's amazing.
The way I heard it was he still won too much. So then they're like, okay, you can't even limp raise. You have to just like limp call pre-flop. And then he still won too much. And they're like, okay, you can't raise any street or something along the lines of this. You can raise like river. And then I heard he still won too much, and they're like, all right, you can't play anymore.
It's like, all right, you have to flip one card over.
And he still won too much.
Yeah, he still won too much. All right, both cards face over. He still won.
I'm sure that got embellished somewhere, but that's a pretty great story.
That's fair. It's different when you're playing so high for like some of these tournaments, and you have to.
That one's not getting aborted.
But yeah,
that's a good story.
Yeah, good story. No abortion there.
Thanks, fellas.
That was a sick dude. He was walking around Hooney's last party, drunk, asking people to play him for $5K in pool with one arm behind his back and 1 foot on the floor. And I was just like,
was Mormon there?
Yeah.
I feel like Mormon would have happily taken that.
He's pretty sure he was there.
Wow.
But yeah,
we got to get that going.
It was very impressive to walk around with such fucking confidence and just like, you guys want to play for $5K?
Right. 1
arm behind my back, 1 foot on the ground.
But but the other person gets to play straight up.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was some sick shit.
Ben's a legend. Really good.
Legend.
All right, let's get in the muck.
Sick transition.
Mm-hmm. We got another user submission. This one is coming from Mr. Benjamin. And Burke, I think you might go put your Halloween costume back on.
Yeah, this one's going to be short and sweet.
You must be the Monopoly guy.
You must just pay. Okay, so we're going to get it queued up here. We got the 2 red jacks in the cutoff.
Macaroni.
And, yep, we're facing an open. We're 100 big blinds deep, so 2.5x raise. We go ahead and 3-bet to 6 blinds. Folds back around.
Kind of small.
And we decide to call. Yeah, a little small. Okay, so we get the 6 of hearts, 4 of hearts, 5 of diamonds. Check to us. We decide to check back. And the turn is the 6 of diamonds. It's checked to us again. And now we bet 10 blinds into 13. And we are met with a check raise to 300. So we just go all in. And we folded. We folded.
I mean, if you're gonna hero fold, it's gonna have to be on the river.
On the river,
like I'm not saying you're supposed to hero fold on the river, but you can still just like have all of your ace kings, ace queens, and stuff here some percentage of the time. I feel like.
Right. So what?
I think he's just folding range.
So what he said is that he didn't want to call on the turn because then he felt like he would be in a weird spot on the river, like putting more money in just to fold the more aggression, I guess, is the thought. So just instead of not knowing where you're at, just fold the turn.
I think this,
I guess is.
I think there are two concepts to touch on here. Number one, no one ever knows where they're at, and I think it's a really important thing to just embrace.
Mm-hmm.
There's no such thing as knowing where you're at in poker. You can understand what range of hands is incentivized to take the action that's before you, and you can act with some level of confidence that there's a weight towards one hand or another, but nobody ever knows with certainty that their hand is good or not good, right? That's why we mix frequencies and why it's very important to understand baseline strategy. Number two is it's really, really important to embrace and understand the notion that all ranges are comprised of hands that will never fold, sometimes fold, and always fold the next street, but have to continue here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for instance, if you have 7-8 of diamonds here. No, wrong one. If you have 8-9 of diamonds here, or what's good? Ace-7 of diamonds. That's a good one. If you have Ace-7 of diamonds here and you bet it, you will always call this raise.
Right.
And you will never put another dollar in without making a diamond or a straight, right? So it's like, it's very important for people to understand that when facing any sort of action, the response range consists of a subset of hands that will fold to aggression on the next street. Always.
Right.
And when we don't face said aggression, that portion of our range often becomes our bluffs, right? If you just start folding these hands all early because you don't want to face the next decision, not only then do you give up a lot of equity and put yourself in a position where your range is now too tight moving forward, but you now eliminate the opportunity to have bluffs in your range. And this is how most of poker is played. It's why people make these egregiously outlandish folds and these big hero calls, hero folds, all this, everything's done on a hero spectrum because everyone's ranges get way too tight, way too early in hands every time somebody takes aggressive action. It's like, oh man, he aggressed, he put money in the pot. Like, we just have to fold everything that isn't the nuts. And then it just becomes a battle of like, who can have the nuts more often at showdown?
Yeah.
Which seems really useless to play.
I mean, I think it's also important to point out that probably on you beat value on the turn, right? If he has 9s or 10s, like he might check raise to protect.
Tough to think those hands are.
I think our opponent's going to feel pretty confident with 9s and 10s also after we check back on the flop, right?
That's what I mean.
I'm sure he recognizes.
Yeah, but he should feel confident to just bet them, not to check raise them.
Say that again.
He should feel confident to bet them, not to check raise them.
Yeah.
He opted not to bet the turn.
Right.
That indicates more of a polarized range, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
I think to piggyback on what you said, it's also, I mean, if you find a really nice spot to exploit your opponent by making a hero fold on a street because you think like their sizing or something indicates that they're going to bet again on the river and they're probably pretty nutted, that's fair. But as a general rule, if you don't have any folds on the next street, then you're playing this street wrong.
Yeah.
Right? And you're making yourself really easy to play against because just math dictates that you're supposed to have some folds on every street, right?
Right. Like basically the turn check raise can absolutely print because you massively overfold and then you just don't have to put another dollar in on the river with anything but value if you're out of position.
Yeah. It is so hard to have value here is out of position too. And is so patient to A, not lead flop, B, not bet turn themselves. Right. Like there's like a parlay going on here.
So that'll be the discussion point when we dig into the solve here, is that there's just going to be a really aggressive leading range by out of position that may not actually take place in real life. So we kind of have to look at it through the lens of he opted to check.
On the flop, you're saying?
Yeah. We have to look at it through the lens of like he opted to check when he could have otherwise bet, and then look at the alternative of he's always auto checking and now carries his entire range forward on the turn.
Yeah, it's going to change in position strategy on flop.
For sure.
By a lot.
Yeah, you're going to get to be a lot more aggressive whenever he has leads, I think.
Yeah, well, it's choosing to bet versus not.
Exactly. Well, you might have a pure check back if we take away the ability for out of position to lead.
Or like a high frequency check back.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely higher than if they were not going
to.
Here we are.
So yeah, here we are.
But look at the value for the hijack, right? Like all of their really good hands. Like it's not a range lead, but it's close enough.
Pretty close. There's no hand that doesn't lead. Yeah. And they're all greater than 50% frequency.
Can definitely get away by playing range lead for sure.
Right. So obviously when he chooses not to bet and instead checks, you can see that in position gets to bet pretty frequently, like a little over half the time, which for a board texture like this, that's an aggressive strategy. But it's born out of the fact that like look how much the EV changes whenever out of position chooses check. So in this particular instance, the hijack is the tighter range, has a slight EV disparity favoring him. So it's like 58 to 41 pot share difference. Once he chooses to check though, look how much that EV shifts. Now it's 54% in favor of the in positions range, which is why you're seeing such an aggressive betting strategy here. When we opt to check back and the turn 6 comes off, we see that out of position again has like a lot of leads in this particular instance. That's why I'm saying like you're not going to see 8s and 9s very often showing up in the check raising range. You can see that these lead at a pretty high frequency.
Yeah.
Same with like 7s even more so than anything else. Quads, full lead. Good.
I think it's really important if we're going to look at the turn to force a check from out of position on the flop.
That was the thing I was going to compare it to. So yeah, like obviously the ranges are going to shift if we force check on flop. Now the betting strategy by in position is going to be significantly tighter. And we're probably going to see something close to a range check back. I would imagine like maybe he bets 20% of the time. Whoops, I did the opposite. Shit.
By the way, range lead on flop seems really sweet. I could imagine people playing pretty poorly versus it in practice.
Yeah.
Well, because you're still going to have to raise a lot of hands in position. You are not going to have fun on a lot of turns. Good for out of position.
Pure check.
Yeah.
There it is.
Pure check. Cannot bet. Scary FC.
And this is really just understanding how EV works, right? Like now when we look at this, you see the EV doesn't change at all because he's forced to check, right? So out of position, still carrying an advantage. We're not going to bet into an advantage when we're the in position range.
They probably just aggressively check it. Yeah, you can't even mock a bet for in position.
Right.
So if he's assuming that he's checking range, that was smart to do.
Yeah, the check back on flop I think is generally pretty good.
Yeah.
When we look at the 6 of diamond turn now,
it's gonna be such a polar turn. Probably
it's gonna be blasting by out of position, like probably something close to. I guess the 6 reduces a lot of his value, so that makes some sense. But again, you're still seeing like all of the hands that need protection: 8s, 9s, 10s, 7s.
They just lead.
A lot of leading. Even jacks are a lot of leading. So like the little bit of queens that he has, that's more of the traps. His overcards do a lot of checking now because, again, this is also in response to the fact that it's a pure check back. If we forced bets, so that might be an interesting.
Well, there's a lot of high card in position range when he checks back, so small bet really pressures that out of position. I just don't know if you play one size only versus 2. Like, of course, there's.
Well, what I'm saying is like if we set a strategy where we force in position to bet some of the time, which is probably pretty reasonable. He's probably going to bet his straights fair amount. Let's say that he bets like sets and 2 pair some frequency. Let's say he bets over pairs quarter of the time. And then let's say he bets like
the fear for
straight draws and flush draws some of the time.
The fear for out of position when in position range checks back is that they still have all of the strong hands.
Correct.
In their range.
Which is why now when we get to the turn, you see it's only betting like half the time, right? So now when it goes check, whenever we actually have a betting range, I think we'll see a much more aggressive turn strategy here by out of position. A lot of, or at least some of the good hands have now exited. Yeah, so it increases the betting frequency by almost 20%. Or sorry, almost 15%. And now it's like pure with a lot of these hands, right? Like, or damn near. The trips, almost pure betting. The full houses, pure betting. Quads, pure betting.
Don't forget to bet your quads, fellas.
Yes.
Ace 5, pure bet.
It's just value, yeah.
Yeah, just like strict value at this point. The overpairs, 7s through jacks, nearly pure betting, right? So it's not even really a polarizing betting strategy here by out of position. It's more so just like a pretty linear one where it's giving up the equity that some of these high cards may have because this is now bottom of range, right? It's the inverse of what you see on normal textures where like your low unpaired hands become bottom of range. It's the exact opposite. We don't have any low unpaired hands, right? So it's now high cards.
Does the polar size get used if you offer it for on the turn?
I don't think so.
Wrong one. Wrong.
No, it's not.
Yes, you could have just done it. Do that little pen at the top.
I would have had to input a size.
No, you just give 2E. What other size would you choose?
I don't know. 2E is really big. I don't think it'll choose 2E. But maybe.
God, I'm scared. I would have just done it the other way, but
yeah, I mean, I might have to. I don't think it's gonna pick a big size though. It has too much. It has too much advantage. It does nothing really benefits from the big size.
This isn't nothing. 7x pot all in. Well, I mean, 6x benefits like some flush draw bluffs benefit. You get some high card better hands to fold as well.
Oh, I have to go back and relock this. That's what's got fucked up.
But it might not get used. It might just wait till river. I just wasn't sure if you get to have a polar size on the turn. But if you don't, I've learned something here today.
Yeah, I would be I'd be pretty surprised. I would imagine that you just go pretty small here because you want to be pushing a lot of equity.
Yeah.
I'm pretty interested to see what the inflection point is on the river once we've been check raised. Like what hands are indifferent to calling river?
It's probably the overpairs for what it's worth.
You think all of them?
Well, just because the value for out of position is trips plus in the check raise line or like the check jam line. You know, like pocket nines aren't going to find check jams.
I was thinking something like black aces or maybe even
no big bets.
Yeah, it's still
red
small.
aces, pure call.
Yeah, 2E wasn't an option.
And something like red jacks can do some folding.
I don't know if having red aces is good. I think nut flush draws are going to be a part of the check raising range at a pretty high frequency.
Yeah, but they're not going to bluff river. I don't think so. I think you're actually unblocking.
So I think part of what we see here is as a bit of a problem for imposition is the size that he chooses. I mean, it's fine. He went 67%, I think. But you could see that bigger bets are more incentivized. So 2E and pot are the mixes here. Settling on pot seems relatively fine. But you can see it's still like pretty tight. So I think to your answer, it's going to be like 10s and 9s, the ones that bet the most or the least frequently. 8s, 9s, 10s, 7s.
Wait, is the smallest size you gave it 100%?
No,
I didn't give it. It's dynamic.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because you're not very incentivized to reopen the action.
The open range is polar.
Right? Like you're only betting for value or bluff strictly. You're not really getting very linear here. Like you can see 5X doesn't do a lot of betting, for instance.
No, that's fair. I've never seen it not give like at least like a 67% option, even if it's like not using it very often at all.
Yeah, I don't think it would use it at all just because of the SPR. So I think we're at like, what are we
Interesting.
At? About 6.5. If you go 67, there's just like no path to getting stacks in.
The fact that almost all the bets are in the 100% makes me think that if you gave a smaller one, it might like to use it quite a bit.
You
but
just
I don't
pencil
know.
it. I feel like the pot makes sense because just when it goes check on the turn and not like equity push, you still want to get stacks in with your really strong hands.
Yeah, of course.
And you can't get stacks in as easily when you go 67 versus pot.
Right, that's what I mean. You're picking a pretty tight range of hands.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it pulls a little bit. It'll bet a quarter if you give it a chance to bet a quarter, but it's just like not a very optimal size. I mean, you can see there's like no hand.
It's funny because
there's like no
shifts.
one hand that benefits the most from going this size except quads.
That's your quads.
Oh no, that's still 100%.
Yeah. It's just not an efficient size for the value that you're trying to push, I suppose.
Right.
Like you're not even betting queens all the time.
Oh no, it is quads. Yeah, quads is the one that benefits the most.
You have 4 6s, so go nuts.
Right.
Okay, so we bet they check raise.
Right. I mean, you have to fix this though, because
why?
The person that's in position is probably not playing a 3 sizing strategy. It's probably only 67 or check.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I like
but
that.
I mean, it's just going to change the frequencies, I guess.
Yeah.
All the hands will still be the same.
Yeah, but then the response to the node will be different.
Yeah, I get it.
Concentration.
Yeah, and as you get further down the tree, when you have so many bets, it gets so messed up so quickly.
Yeah, it probably looks like this when it comes to the...
Right. And obviously the raise size here is significantly smaller.
Is this check raise range? It's like 8s, 8,
8s
7?
is bluffing, yeah.
Oh, baby.
8s is bluffing to get...
It'll get wider at this size.
To get jacks to fold?
So 8s go away now.
Oh, look, ace 3 is getting in there with presumably the flush draw.
Yeah.
Some non-existent combo because it bets itself most of the time.
Oh.
Right. So this range like just doesn't exist. Jam occurs some. We're going to take that away. This size is just also just like screaming to not fold. The big problem is that like it has such an aggressive betting strategy on the turn that once he forgoes the bet, you can't really find any check raises. And this is the issue with folding jacks here. It's like, how could we ever fold jacks when he just doesn't have any good hands in his check raising range? Like his good hands are 8-7 that are protecting, and then like pocket 5s.
Well, it's a
and
full
4s
house.
and 4s.
It's a hand that decided to not bet themselves twice.
Right, which is really hard to have.
Yeah.
So it's like there's some full houses,
Right.
maybe some straights, and then bluffs.
He has like no sixes.
But
Or he has like a flush draw of some sort.
in defense to our hero, though, there aren't really any clear bluffs either.
Well, I mean,
think it's
theoretically,
very easy to find only value here in
Yeah.
practice.
it just depends on if someone's taking like flush draws and check raising those, because the solve won't, as you want to like realize the price and realize your equity. But like if someone has king jack of hearts here or diamonds, like it's not the most unreasonable thing in the world to find a check raise. No.
I mean, they check raise, but like the problem is that all of these hands just bet, right? So like we kind of have to go back to the checking node, and we kind of like almost have to manufacture. Like let's assume that he just doesn't have a small size. Let's only give him 2E or check.
Polar size.
Yeah, so maybe this will reduce the betting frequency way down.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so now we're looking at like more only 20% bets. It's still going to be so value concentrated though, is the problem.
Well, it'll be balanced.
So yeah, now we get a little bit more of a picture. But it's still the same. It's still being constructed. Like you're right, there just aren't really flush draws here ever. Like ace 9 is it. Ace 9 of diamonds, ace 3 red gets in there at some frequency. Actually all ace 3. No, sorry, it's the opposite. Ace 3 black, ace 3 red all bets.
Yeah. You get better ace highs to fold. It's nice.
Right. Ace 5 of hearts, pairing a flush draw. That does some check raising.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very little. Even like ace jack just prefers to call or fold.
It is definitely, but then again, it's also hard to have values out of position too, right? You have to check twice with really good hands.
Yeah, and even like when you do fives, just wants to like call a lot. 7-6 wants to just like call a lot. You know, like you're basically. I could see a word like we can lock what happens when he just like check raises a strategy here that is pretty value dense. Like let's say that he just check raises quads. Whoops. So let's say he check raises quads, full house, trips, straight, and combo draws, and a little bit of nut flush draws.
It is a very unique line for hijack to play this way, which isn't necessarily a bad thing either, you know? Like here we are in Fantasyland trying to figure out
Well,
what
I also think like
is.
he sizes down too because he's probably so dense to having good hands. Okay, so now the check raise comes through. Now let's see how Jax responds. It won't be jam, I don't think. It'll only
Jam
be
seems
call or
like a
fold.
nightmare.
Yeah, so it's still pure calling.
Jamming anything with range is a nightmare.
Tens start to mix. Like you start to see a smidge of folding here with diamond heart. So the bad suits.
Right.
But yeah, should he have called and found himself with a I don't know, deuce of club river?
Not a lot of 3x going on anymore.
Right. And then he faces jam.
Probably indifferent.
Jax is probably indifferent. Yeah. Might just still call a lot. Yeah. Yeah. So all the overpairs become indifferent. And he just doesn't want to have that decision. Basically, and this is where we can end this. What ultimately ends up happening is when you get check raised on the turn, what he correctly recognizes is that he won't have any 100% decisions on the river.
Barring a jack or a 6.
Right. So he doesn't have any hands that sorry, you're speaking strictly to jacks. I'm saying with range. He just won't have any hands in range that have a very easy decision on the end. They're all going to be 0 EV.
Sure, for the bulk of it. Like look at the trips, look at the straight.
Yeah, but he just doesn't check back a straight. He probably doesn't check back 6-7 very often. So he probably doesn't have trips that often.
Yeah.
He doesn't check back a set, right?
Yeah.
So none of this stuff like makes it to the turn for him, which means that he's very concentrated to overpairs and nothing. Overpairs and draws.
Overpairs and draws.
And what ends up happening is he starts to fold the overpairs because they have tough spots on the end and they have to call some, but they can't call always. Or he just folds them all on the turn and continues all with flush draws. And then calls off as he improves or folds because those are absolute easy decisions. They're all pure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean,
you either call or you call fold unimproved.
Something here that's also important, I would say, is that you can never know, like you're saying, you can never know where you're at type of idea. but at the same time, you can't also expect a river bet to always come in.
That's true too.
Like the perspective of, I don't want to call the turn because he's always going to jam the river. That would mean you should always call the turn and always call the river if you think they're always going to bet. Because now their range is their range isn't just if the range looks like the one in the picture.
That's the big if though, right?
Sure. But
because if you expect them to always jam the river, it's because they always have a 6 or better
on the turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
there's no river that's going to change that range.
We can't know that for sure.
Right.
So it's definitely a spot that's hard to come to a good conclusion. But I think
that's the big guessing game of it all.
That's just poker. That's no limit, baby.
This is what I get flamed for a lot in my game, but I also think it's like hands down my biggest strength is that I just am very sticky in those spots. Like, not only am I never folding overpairs in that particular line, but I'll also have just like hands that wouldn't expect to show up here all that often, like the ace-3 of clubs, for instance. Like, I'm just going to have that hand in my betting range, and it might call some of the time. Or a hand like, 7-9 suited because I'm a little bit wider pre than most. Shit like that. Like, the point is that pot odds are a real thing. And putting people on just like one specific hand that may have you drawing slim doesn't mean that you suddenly don't put money in with hands that could potentially be drawing very live.
Yeah. And
that's like the biggest, I think, misnomer that people run into is that they always want to get the money in ahead. And if they face any sort of aggression, it's like, well, I must be behind, so I can't put any money in. It's like, you got check raise really small and you have an overpair.
Well, it's very like reflective of the idea of why mixing is important in the first place and why decisions can be worth 0. Like, there's no answer for the spot. Like, the spot is tough. Like, that's for sure. Whatever you do, you're going to feel like you're going to be right or wrong based off of what you see in that moment. Like you see a value hand, you're like, oh, I knew he had value. I should have just folded the turn. But in reality, it's like, that's not how poker works.
Well, mixing is only important if people are adapt to your frequencies. So like, people know that I don't bet fold that turn very often, so they don't attack my bet very often, which now funnels them to value more often, which means that I accrue a ton of additional value just by c-betting the turn. And now that means that I actually do have to mix on my river decisions because they're more concentrated towards value due to the fact that they know that I don't fold.
Or maybe you can fold the turn more because their attack is value driven.
Fine, then I mix the turn more often. Either way, point is that I have to adjust my response based off the fact that they are operating off of an expectation of my strategy, right?
It's like the game flow, like playing versus the player kind of stuff that does happen.
Yeah. But like,
Landon, you're the best. But it's like that game flow thing I heard about from back in the day that you guys used to implement.
Right.
Well, like, oh,
this guy, the player type stuff.
Yeah, like this guy bluffed 3 times in a row.
He's
steaming, but then he check raised. Like, oh, like he wants all of the money. He's greedy. Like I can feel your greed. Like,
yeah.
Buddy, if you don't think that this is a real thing, like,
I know it's real.
I promise you, and I mean this wholeheartedly.
I've heard you old people talk about it before.
Yeah, you guys be yapping.
I mean this wholeheartedly. The best players in the live realm are the ones that understand how to dynamically range assess people in real time, right? Like the dynamic shift on the emotional scale of how people weight their actions is a real fucking thing.
Yeah.
And the exploits that are born off of that are worth a ton of fucking money.
Well, that's why not all decisions are the same. You never get the same spot twice.
Right. Yeah. And that's kind of the issue with anybody who's just trying to execute a perfect baseline strategy in these nodes. You're just leaving a lot of money on the table because you're being lazy.
Do we know if the guy that check raised was steaming or not? Let's start. Those are the real questions.
I don't know, but I would just pay this one.
Yeah.
Berkey, have you ever top 2'd of WPT in Florida?
No.
I love you, Jesse.
I have not.
Big game flow master.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever top 2'd to WPT, period. I think 7th is my best.
It's actually pretty good for a guy who doesn't play tournaments.
Yeah. Once upon a time, I was an LAPC king.
For the guy that doesn't play tournaments, look at that Hendon mob.
That's right.
Respect on
It's
my
got a
name.
pretty good-handed mob. All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll be back tomorrow at noon Pacific. We have a lot of special guests tomorrow. Caitlin and Marley will be here in studio. We're going to have Fausto call in a little bit later on in the show. And I expect tomorrow to be a good mix of fun and poker talk, as well as Wardrobe Wednesday. That's right. Landon's bit lives on, and I'm not going to let him forget that this bit is born out of him trying to shame the way that I dress.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely was.
Why do you always think everything is an attack on you? I was like, you know what? I got some new clothes because someone bought them for me, so I want to wear them.
Nope, that's not what happened. I made fun of your striped shirt, and you go, all right, old man, every Wednesday we're dressing up.
No, it wasn't. You were getting the timeline wrong, dementia-having-ass rat.
We'll check the tape.
Oh, man, it's going to be so great.
We're going to check the tape, and we'll have that clip for you guys tomorrow.
He's going to pay me to be his personal shopper in no time.
No, man.
We only got like another week.
Hold on. Nah, this bit was, I promise you, this bit was not made as an attack on your fashion. I had extra clothes. I was like, you know what? I want a good reason to wear these clothes.
No.
You are a child. You love to fight.
You're just arguing something we can go back and look at, and I'm very confident in.
I did not start.
You're very emotional. I'm very confident. There's a difference.
I did not start this bit to try to dunk on you.
Okay, I think you did, and I think you showed up just as a homeless person last week.
I know.
Oh, shit.
I know. I didn't start the bit to attack you.
We will have the answers for you guys tomorrow.
No. Hold on. Listen. I know I did not start this to attack you because if I did, I would tell you.
Can you address the homeless part first?
I would. No, I was disheveled last week. He's right, but I did not. I would know if I did this to attack you. I'd say yes, you're right. This was an attack. I don't like you.
I don't think you know
is
things.
boxing right in front of the camera.
I don't think you know things. I don't think you know how to say ominous.
You're right. All right. That'll do it for us. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Unbelievable.
Peace.
It was not made as a bit to shame you.